Hey everyone, let's see if we'll get as many people watching this as they did Halloween last night. The live review.
We've got a big fat 0 so far. So.
Well, we just started. It'll shoot up to 2,500 like what we got last night.
You sure? Because we're still at 0.
Wait for it. Hang on. It needs to go 1.
We're not
excellent.
One? Okay, to the one person watching, we're talking direct. What's
13.
Oh, 13. Well, okay. I was gonna say we could just do this whole thing.
Ooh, and chat's working now too.
Yay!
Last night, I think I accidentally shut chat off last night because I was operating it while wearing that damn Ben Tramer mask, and I think I accidentally shut chat off, which sucked because Sarah and I were stumped on a couple of things. I'm like, oh, if only chat was there. You know what my favorite part of this movie was? We went to go see the Sisters Brothers, by the way. My favorite part of this movie was when I got up to use the restroom at one point during the film, and I came back, looked at the audience, a lot of which sitting there like kind of squirming, especially you and Laura. I
wasn't even squirming. I was just watching the wall.
You were, yeah, Laura was squirming. You were a little bit more sunken than you were when I left, and yeah, looking towards the wall. Other people in the audience were too, and I look up at the screen, and there is just this close-up of a spider, and then just slowly crawling across John C. Reilly's face as he's asleep, and I have this kind of silent chuckle to myself, knowing how you and Laura are with spiders, and I go and sit down. I'm like, well, I know what I'm gonna be. Laura's gonna be just grabbing onto my arm as this is going on. She's sitting there squirming, as she was for the next, like, 5 minutes. She's looking away from the screen. That thing goes in John C. Reilly's mouth, and I'm sitting there, like, silently laughing, and Laura is just like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, do you want me to tell you? Do you really want me to tell you what just happened? And then that happened again later on when John C. Reilly then has is recovering from that and has swelling and is throwing up later what looks to be like he's throwing up a bunch of spiders.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yes, and then Laura, it leans over to me and asks, what did he just throw up? And again, in my head, I'm like, You're asking me this, but you don't want me to give you the answer. So I kind of laughed and let it go, and like a minute later she asked me again, what did he throw up? And I'm just like, a bunch of little spiders. She's like, oh God, oh God. But aside from that, like, little chuckle I had towards the film, would you consider this a comedy?
I would consider this a comedy in the same way that I consider the movie Dead Man to be a comedy.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That, for most people, probably not.
Yeah.
But I still think that Dead Man is one of the funniest fucking movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, I think, if I watched it another 1 or 2 times, like I've watched Dead Man 1,000 times,
sure,
that I'd probably be the asshole sitting there in the room laughing manically, while everyone else is like, dude, this is really serious. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not serious at all.
Sitting in the theater, like, I felt it was pretty serious. Like, I felt a lot of this movie was pretty brutal, honestly.
Well, it was, and that's the juxtaposition of, like, it being very serious and very brutal. But I think there is a whole lot of really subtle, dry comedy.
Yeah, and I can see that with the banter between the brothers, but it was a lot of banter that I thought would just kind of naturally be there amongst these two characters anyway. Right. The movie is... It's really marketed very, very
It's marketed heavily. Way differently than the movie actually is.
The marketing on this movie is way different than what you're going to be going into when you go see this. And I don't know how to put it. Like, it's marketed as if you're marketing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid like it's the Frisco Kid. Or...
To me, the trailer I saw, which was a while ago, reminded me very much of, like, a Coen Brothers kind of trailer.
Yeah. That's another example I was going to use. Like, if you were to try to market Road to Perdition like Miller's Crossing.
Right. Yeah. Where, like, yeah, Miller's Crossing is also very serious, but at the same time, that movie's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that movie is outwardly hilarious.
Yeah.
Kind of like Fargo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like dark, but really funny at the same time.
Right. And I could maybe see hints of a little bit of that here and there in this film. But not so far to where I would market this like it's like it's a Western comedy with John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix, where the trailer is showing up in front of a lot of.
But in watching it, I gotta say, I don't know how I would market this movie.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because it's not like a straight serious Western, like, say, like The Proposition or Hostiles or something
it's
like
not that.
Yeah, it's not that. Like, it's got elements of that kind of darkness to it, but also there is a dry comedy to it. There's other weird, like...
This is more in the vein of something like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
Like, it is. And having said all of that, which is really just to kind of more so prepare you for what you're going to get with this movie versus how it's marketed, because you are very right. This is a hard movie to market. Like, having watched the movie, I can see how they might have a little bit of trouble trying to market a certain tone about the film, especially when you see what it's about and the things that happen in the movie. Now, having said all of that, whereas this movie isn't quite the zany kind of comedy that you're seeing in a lot of the trailers for the movie, but having said that, I actually really, really love this movie.
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I liked this movie a lot.
No, I was a little... I love a good Western.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll say the past 10, 15 years, we don't get a lot of Westerns, but the ones there's been a lot of really good ones.
Yeah. And this one I would put right up there with a lot of the recent Westerns we got. I actually like this. Okay, I think maybe the last Western that was off the top of my head was maybe Hostiles. And you and I both liked Hostiles a lot. I actually like this better.
I like this better. Hostiles was good, but Hostiles was hard, man.
It was a rough sit.
Yeah.
Which was the intent of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly.
No, absolutely. But, yeah, it was hard. And then, like, this movie was... There are parts where you're like, whoa. But then something would happen where you're like, oh, okay. Or, like, they take it somewhere else a little bit. And it's not, like, a big crazy somewhere else. It just kind of leads there.
It actually really kind of plays with a lot of Western tropes, honestly, and the way that it does that is to really show more than a lot of Westerns I've seen recently. Even the really gritty ones, even the serious ones. This one really shows how brutal that time period is. How you're lucky if you make it to about 35 years old. How much shit will really kill you in this quick, or it could possibly kill or maim you. It does that better than a fucking movie like Million Ways to Die in the West was trying to do, slapstick wise. This movie, that spider scene, which would just show you could get just really fucked up in your sleep from just sleeping out here, and that thing.
Well, but yeah, it just like, but that spider scene, yeah. It has that seriousness to it where fucking John C. Reilly's got this spider that's laid eggs in him.
Yeah.
And he's sick and feverish and shit. And they have to stop for the night and he falls asleep and you kind of think he's going to die. And then he fucking comes to after this weird fucked up dream sequence.
Yeah.
Comes to fully awake and there's shirtless Joaquin Phoenix and a dead bear.
Yeah.
It's just like... What the fuck happened?
That's what I like about this movie, because shit like that could just happen in this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people, like, they go towards, like, this big, what they think is gonna be probably this big climactic gun battle, but a person's just dead. And also, wounds that you'll get, like, it shows, like, Old West surgical amputation in this film. And it shows pretty realistic drunkenness in this and the effects of that and how you're really kind of fucked up for quite a while after that. People are dirty, they're smelly, they're homely. it makes big deals.
I will say this is the first Western I've seen in a while that didn't have attractive prostitutes in it.
Yeah, people look disheveled in this film, and it makes big deals about things that that we take for granted, like in this movie, like how they're making a big deal about brushing their teeth, or seeing a toilet that flushes, or having a bathtub that has like warm water in it. I really like that about this movie, and I liked how it shows that, like, okay, the Old West, yeah, it's harsh, and like it's dirty, and it sucks, and you could get injured and killed and amputated. But this movie also shows, like, it really sucks for the horses, too.
Oh, it always sucks for the horses.
No,
always.
yeah, certainly. And this movie really does show that in pretty great detail, honestly. So I really enjoyed, like, a lot of really kind of gritty realism about this film.
Yeah, no, it's, like, to me, this movie, like, this is also very much, to a degree, this isn't a bad thing, but this movie's real fucking French.
I don't know who made this movie.
I don't know, but you know, I'd say the same thing about fucking WALL-E.
Sure.
This movie's real fucking French.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a few moments in the movie where they did one thing or another, or there's a certain kind of shot or something where it's just like, I know why you did that, guys, but that wasn't necessary.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You probably picked up on a lot more of that than I did.
Yeah, and it's nothing big. It's nothing that detracts. It's just what happens to my mind when we sit down and fucking sit and review a movie. I look for that kind of shit.
Sure.
Now. It's just the way my brain's wired, and I know it's a fault, but...
No. I mean, I was picking up on a lot of shots here and there. Nothing that I necessarily... Okay, there is stuff in the first act of this movie that I thought, like... Because in the first act of this film, maybe the first 30 minutes or so, I didn't know what kind of movie we were going to be getting here. Like, I was sitting there like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what tone we're going to set here. There's a lot of really random little things that are kind of happening. But then as the movie goes along, I was like, okay, they were really doing a lot of world building shit there.
They were doing world building, and this movie's kind of cyclical in a way, where the first half of the movie... the brothers kind of have a flip in power.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of mirrored elements in this movie. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, in the beginning, John C. Reilly's getting a haircut, and that kind of constitutes a change in his character. And then towards the end, Joaquin Phoenix is getting a haircut, and that starts doing the constitutive change in his character. So, I mean, this movie does... Like I said, it's real fucking French.
But it was also doing stuff too, like I would see in Heaven's Gate, where there would be a lot of like establishing shots there that are just kind of to show how real dusty and dirty a lot of this stuff is, especially at the beginning of the movie.
Well, and I appreciate that in a Western anymore, because like the idea of like the clean West, where everybody's clothes are clean and they're, you know, it's like, fuck you. There's no mud on your boots. You fucking like try harder. God fucking damn it. You know? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, the way, how dry this movie was, and the way that it was sort of paced in the first act of this movie, I was sitting there watching it, and I was thinking in that act, and I realized that for what happens in these movies, that they're certainly very, very different. But when I was watching it, I was going like, sitting here watching this movie, I'm like, this is feeling to me like just a better version of The Lobster. Not that they're similar in plot in any way, shape, or form, but how dry both of the movies are.
Yeah, I rewatched The Lobster a couple weeks ago, just out of curiosity, because I like, it popped in my head, and I remembered really not liking it, but a lot of people whose opinions I respect liked it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm gonna watch it again, and I watched it again, and I got it a little more, but at the same time, I was sitting there going, why the fuck am I watching this? You know?
Right. I felt
Like-
that way when we were watching that movie. That movie never had a turn for me. That movie had an effort, had an act where I was like, I don't know, this is really dry. I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know what tone we're getting here. And then it just never picked up for me. I never ever gave a shit. Whereas this one certainly starts out very dry, very random, but as it kept going, I was seeing what kind of universe they were building up here with these characters, and it all did have a payoff, and I was enjoying just little bits about the movie, and details.
Yeah, to me, like, The Lobster, like, after a second watching, like, I'll admit it's a better movie than I initially thought it was, but at the same time, it was one of those movies that's like, okay, I get the point. Stop hitting me over the fucking head with it. Like, like, we get it. Okay, that's enough. Like, now make it interesting. This even at the point where at the beginning where you're like trying to figure it out, it was still at least interesting.
Yeah, because I didn't know where this movie was gonna go. I didn't know where this movie was gonna go, and I knew it still had a long time left to get there, because this movie's a little over 2 hours long.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like it. Like, it was, like, it's one of those kind of long, quiet movies, but it wasn't like a painful sit where you're like...
No.
And I will say, like, at first it just seems like the first act, it's all like, okay, it's Manhunt movie, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then second act comes in, you're like, are we getting into fucking alchemy now? What the fuck's happening?
Yeah, and then when it gets into the third act, where you have these characters who think, you know, they are on top of the world at this point. They've discovered something really, really vital, something that brings in riches. But at the end of the day, it's still the fucking Old West.
Yeah.
And your ass could just... yeah, and you could just like that, and things could go south. No, you know, I really highly recommend this movie.
I do too. I do think it's one of those movies that, like, you know, I don't know that I'd suggest it for everyone, because this is not an everybody movie.
It's not.
But if it seems like the kind of thing that you'd be interested in, keeping in mind it's not a laugh out loud comedy for 98% of it.
Yeah.
Like, check it out. Read some reviews. Go check. I'd love to see this movie make some money and get some acclaim.
Yeah. I mean, there was a decent little crowd in there, honestly. There was more people in there than I thought there would be. And it is getting solid reviews. Yeah. It was a nice surprise. Like, I went into the movie. I went in the movie thinking it would actually be pretty decent, but I went into it off of a lot of the trailers that advertised it, which are very different than what you're gonna see. And so what I got was a nice surprise. I got a movie that I really enjoyed a lot for reasons I didn't think I would.
Yeah. Also, it's always great to see John C. Reilly do like traumatic acting, because he's so because he's so goddamn good at it.
Oh yeah. And it's great seeing Joaquin Phoenix get drunk and shoot some people. Yeah. Drunk and swearing and shooting at people. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I like. It like in this movie too is like when people get killed in this movie, they fucking get killed.
Oh,
like, with these bullets, it'll just take their head just fucking right off, blow half of it fucking away with these, and it also shows the impracticality of a lot of these weapons that they're using.
Well, and that's what bullets did. Like,
and
it does do. Like, little hole in front, big hole in back.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie didn't skimp on any detail like that. What, something going on in the chat?
I'm just reading. Yes, Joaquin Phoenix and River Phoenix were related.
Oh, you should have been here during when Irving and I reviewed First Man, and there were moon conspiracy theorists in the chat. I didn't even notice until like Irving told me about it afterwards.
Oh my god.
I wish I'd been paying attention, but God.
Just sit there and read the chat sometimes. It's really hard not to.
Hey guys. I'm glad I got the chat working again, actually.
Yeah.
This is my dumbass had it shut off yesterday. But all right, any final thoughts about the movie?
Good movie. Once again, though, I gotta say, this is something that I've been noticing a lot in the past 10, 15 years. When you put Rutger Hauer in a fucking movie, at least let the man fucking talk.
What they did with his character, though.
Oh, brilliant.
I thought it was actually pretty brilliant.
Because anybody that's going to go see this movie knows who Rutger Hauer is.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to that, you know?
This movie, it is as brief as it used him. And it actually, it's kind of brilliant in its briefness. As brief as this movie used him, it still used him so much fucking better than... Was that fucking movie you and I went to go see? The Letters, the Mother Teresa one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a slog, man.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest slogs that I've seen in recent memory.
I forgot about that one.
It's wildly understandable. But, all right. Sarah and I are going to see the re-release of Twilight at some point. So that'll be going up. I think Ryan and AJ will be having something here soon. Oh, their review of The Hate You Give is on Patreon right now, but it'll be public here within the next couple of days. Next weekend is, I know Hunter Killer comes out, and that sounds like it's going to be a chore. Fuck. So yeah, that comes out next week. But anyway, thanks a bunch, everyone, for watching. Take care.
Bye.